There are two versions of digital stores. There's what we call pay before you play.
Now, what happens if now that Kenya says it doesn't want royalties from his work?
Can you distribute your music across all these commercial songs and still say, I don't want any money?
Public domains still have royalties, but just that it will not come to you. Hello. This is Bnoskka IP Zone with Bnoskka, and brought to you by Apprise Music and Media. We do publishing and distribution, and we also help artists do a little video of their songs they want to upload on video. And if you are thinking of how to distribute your songs and promote your songs and publish them, look no further. Come to Apprise Music. We have our office here in Ghana, and you can find us on the internet, and you can meet us anywhere you want to do. And if you want to call us too, please stay tuned. Make sure you share, subscribe this video, and as we go on, I'll give you the contact number to be able to reach out to them. Today, we want to look at what is public domain. And before we do that, let me introduce my guest I have here in the studio, beginning with my right. Please, your name.
Hi everyone, my name is Phillip Neewhang.
I'm a pure marketing student.
All right, so we have these two wonderful people in our midst today, and we want to talk about public domain. Phillip, welcome, and Sami, welcome. Right, so when we say a public domain, if those of you who have not watched all the series up to this point, you may want to go back and look at what is economic right or moral right or duration of copyright. So if you understand that principle, when duration of copyright simply means that the day a work is fixed into an artistic expression, either in a video form or in an audio form or in a written form or in a book form or in any retrievable medium that you can think of, that day, if the work is for an individual person, then it means it lasts the lifetime of that individual. And then when he or she dies, after 70 years after their death, the work now becomes what we call public domain. It means the person no longer has that exclusive right over the song again. So if you want to use it for adverts, you don't need to find the person. You don't need to ask permission. You don't need to ask, can I do a remix of these songs? No. Until public domain, until a work fall under public domain, if you want to make a remix, if you want to do a cover version, if you want to even render it into instrumental, you want to translate, you want to transcribe it, you want to do anything, you need to ask the author. So assuming that the song or the book was written by 3 people, you need to get the consent of all the 3 people. Okay, but if the work has fallen under public domain, let's assume that Phillip made a song or wrote a book, and Sami, together with Sami, so 2 authors, and then the 2 of them all, maybe they lived to be 150 years, and then after 150 years, we calculate 70 years, so that would be 210, 220. So after 220 years, that works fall under what we call public domain. But let's assume that Apprise Music employs these 2 people and then gives them a contract that we're going to produce your works under Apprise Music ownership. So it means their names will be on it per the contract, and then the economic right will rest with Apprise Music. Now the work has now moved from an individual author into what we call a body corporate. And the body corporate, whenever they make anything, they write a book, they make a movie or whatever, it lasts 70 years from the very first day the work was published or performed publicly. So after 70 years, then the work becomes what? Public domain. Now let's look at this. A church, if a church produces a hymn book or makes a material or write a book or anything, the very first day they publish the material, then it means we are starting to calculate 70 years. After 70 years, then that work become what? Public domain. Now let's look at the types of public domain we have. We have what we call expired economic rights. So expired copyright duration. That is what I've explained. Once the work has expired, the author is dead, 70 years has come, then the work has fallen under public domain, okay? Or the work was made by a corporate body, and so at the very first day they publish, take for example the Methodist hymn book, the Catholic hymn book, the Anglican hymn book, the Musama hymn book. If you check the date they published it, then when you calculate 70 years, then after 70 years, when that date comes, then it means it's public domain. So if you want to do a cover version, you want to record it to sell, you want to do whatever you want to do with it, you don't need permission from the body corporate to be able to do that. But if you still do, go ahead and do, because they are moral right that does not expire, they can go to court and say, this is our hymn, you have used it for this advert, and we don't like it because it's morally, it doesn't sound well with us. Let's take, for example, you have taken a Methodist hymn book, oh God, our help in ages past, and then you have decided to make an advert with it, with an alcoholic advert, or maybe something, prostitute, something, anything, and the church says, no, we don't like this advert, and the song is ours. So they can take you to court, not to go and find you, but just to go and restrict you or place an order on you because of their moral right, their name being associated with the song and the usage of which they don't approve. Then the court will listen, because the court is the one that can grant that injunction. Okay, so that is that. Now we have what we call author declared entry. Author declared entry means that we've all heard when Lord Kenya was making music, and then at a point in time he said he's now a pastor. So all his old songs he's written or he's sung, he said he doesn't want royalties from them again. It means the song has now entered what we call public domain. Author declared entry. So the author says, I don't want any rights from my work again. It means the work has fallen under public domain. And so the law says that the author must write and communicate it to the public, whether written or orally. And there should be an evidence to prove that indeed he has opened his mouth when he was in good condition, not when he was drunk or when he was intoxicated or when he was a child. Under 18 years, you can't do that. But when you are grown up, you are sound, then you say that I don't want any economic right from my work. Then it means you have declared your work to fall under public domain. So that is what we mean by author declared public domain. Now, the third aspect is about what we call public or state document. Okay, public document or state document. Those ones fall under public domain straight the very first day they were made. For example, you go to Parliament and Parliament publish their Hansard. That document is public domain. You can take it and read it and do whatever you want to do with it, provided what you are doing is not illegal. It is public domain, so you can use it. You can write songs about it. Nobody will do anything to you, because that is what the law says. So any public document, material, the Ghana pledge, the Ghana anthem, the what, you can use them the way you think. It can appear in your music, it can appear in your movie, and you don't need permission from anybody. As well as what you are doing is legal and it is right. It doesn't carry any bad connotation or any bad derogatory marks or anything. You have the freedom to do that. So that is what we mean by public document. Okay, so the first one I said is by expired duration or expired economic right, and then the second one is what author declared entry. Okay, and the third one is the public documents or public materials. So that is what is that. Now let's look at how to manage economic rights from public domains. Now, when we talk about royalties, whether the author has declared entry or it has expired duration, Anytime the work is played on radio, on TV, or on any performance or any platform, royalties must be paid. In fact, royalty payment never expires. Okay? It never expires all over the world. I don't think that you will ever have a house and then you say, oh, this house, I rented it for 4 years. So after when my rent is due after 4 years, I can stay in the house for free. The landlord will never agree, right? So it's the same with music. Even though the economic right has expired, royalties must be paid anytime it is performed. Anytime it is performed. So what that means is that anytime the work is performed, the law has, I want to read it, the law has stated what should be done for works that falls under public domain and the monies that comes with it. So the law says, I'm reading the Ghanaian Copyright Act 2005, Act 690, Section 38, subsection 1, and then I'll read the following. It says, the following works belongs to the public domain. A. Works with expired terms of protection, or works by authors who have renounced their rights. Okay? And thirdly, foreign works that do not enjoy protection in the Republic. So these three, also foreign materials, if they are not protected in the public, it means you must be aware that this document is indeed not protected. So if you don't know, you have to find out before you are found wanted. And then also public documents. Right, now let's look at what happens under section 2. It says, for the purpose of this paragraph, which is A, B, and C of this section, a renunciation by an author or author's successor in title of the author's rights provided under section 5, which is the moral rights or the beneficiary of the copyright, shall be made in writing and be made public, but the renunciation shall not conflict with any previous contractual obligations relating to the work. So if an author declares his work entry, he declares it, he doesn't want any right. And let's assume that another company has agreed with the artist to use their song for 5 years per their contract. It means the day you denounce it, it does not affect that contract. That contract still holds. They have the right to be able to use that work. And that is what it means. And therefore, the next one also here is that subject to the payment of a fee that may be specified by the minister, a work that has fallen into the public domain may be used without any restriction. So this is what the law says, without any restriction, like I explained earlier. And then also under 4 says, there shall be established by the minister a fund for the deposit of any money that accrues from payment of fees under subsection 3. Subsection 3, which is payment of money, which is royalties meant for the work which has fallen under public domain. And so that means that that fund, what shall that fund do? They say the fund shall be established with the approval of the Accountant General, and it shall be for the benefit of institutions that promote the arts, authors, performers, producers of sound recording, translators, and the arts in general, except that separate head account shall be assigned to the respective arts. And then section 6 says that, subsection 6 says that the fund shall be managed by the copyright administrator in consultation with the minister. So, like I explained, this is what the section 38 of the Copyright Act says, that even though the work has fallen under public domain, subsection 6 says that there shall be, subsection 5 says that there shall be established an account whereby that account shall be created at the Accountant General's department under the Ghanaian law, and then the minister shall be responsible, and the copyright administrator shall oversee the funds distribution. And what shall be the funds used for? It shall be used to support institutions such as those who promote arts culture, and any endeavor that runs within the music industry. So let me be specific. It says those institutions that promote arts, authors, performers, producers of sound recording, translators, and the arts in general. Okay, so these are the people that the money should be benefit them. So for example, in Ghana, we have Musicians Union. They are musicians. We have Producers Association, FIPAC, Film Producers Association, and those arts, Creative Arts Agency. We have translators. If you go to Ghana School of Languages, we have people who do translations. They have people, that's their work, paid by the state. And then we have people who are comedians, people who are filmmakers, Actors Guild, Copy Ghana, Gamro. So all these people should have an account, and then that account, we shall have a special account which all copyright royalties from public domains work shall be deposited. And then through the copyright administrator, they shall distribute the monies to these institutions to benefit their work because they are promoting the arts. Okay, so this is where I would end and then come back to my guest to see if they have some questions, remarks, and contributions on this topic. Who would want to start first? Philip?
Sure.
Let me start with you.
It's good to know about the public domain and hearing about the government. One thing that I was curious about is, does every government work literally become a public domain work?
Yes.
For instance, we have the government oftentimes creates works, let's say text and stuff, for general use.
Yeah.
Something like that. Is it automatically a public domain?
Yes, it's automatically public domain. And what works with the trick here with public domains is that when a law is passed and there's a soft copy, you can download the soft copy, read it, and do whatever you want to do. But that's a public domain. But if you go to Assembly Press and then you go and buy what the government has published, that document, you can buy it, you can read, you can do whatever. But you can't make a photocopy of that document and you also sell. If you do, that is not public domain. That you are also exploiting it economically. Okay, so this is what it means. You can make a photocopy of the work and for your personal use, it's okay. But you should not be seen that you've gone to Assembly Press and you go and buy one of the acts that they have published. Maybe the Criminal Offences Act, okay, Act 29. You go and buy it. Or NRC Decree 237, which is what we call the High Purchase and Sales Agreements Act. You go and buy it, and then you also go and make photocopy and you are selling. Or let's say Protection Against Unfair Competition Act, Act 589. You go and buy it yourself, and then you go and make photocopy, and then you are also seen in town selling. Oh, this is Act 589. Or let's say the Trademark Act. You go and download it, and you go and print it, and then you are seen in town selling it. No, you can't do that. Public domain, it means you can also take it and do whatever you want to do with it without needing to ask permission. But you cannot be seen making photocopies and you too selling. No, that right is only reserved for Assembly Press by the Ghanaian law. So that's what it means.
Public domain literally means you can use it commercially without being held accountable.
Yes. So
it's like partially public domain.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying, that if it's an author declared, okay, the work falls under that, then you can exploit it that way. Even author declared, you can pick up the CD, and if you want to make copies and sell, that is to you, okay, you can do that. But with the issue of acts, which are public documents, what I'm saying is that you can make photocopy of them, but you should not be seen making photocopies when the state is also selling. You see, there's difference between public domain exploitation and public domain permission usage. You see, when a work has not fallen, let's take, for example, a music, which is created by maybe your name, Your name, please. Moses. Otis. Right. So Otis has made a song, and then he decided that, okay, I don't want any rights from my work again. What he has done is that if you want to make a cover version of it, you don't need to go to him and ask permission. Okay? That's what it means. And by law, you can't also change his name on the work because he has declared public domain for his works. You can't change his name because moral right, which is the name being associated with the work, never expires. It runs forever. Okay? So you can exploit the work, but you can't go and pick his CDs and then make cover, and then when you finish, you fail to write his name on it. That is also against the law. So in other way, we are telling you what you can exploit and what you cannot exploit. Okay, so for public documents, like I'm saying, you can make photocopies and even give to your students, but you should not be seen selling. Like if it's about selling, then you should go to the assembly press.
So from what I understand, public domain can be in the public domain, but then you may not have the economic rights.
No, you do have the economic right, but you see, there are three types. I said about expired protection. Okay? Expired protection, which is not a government document. That one you can make whatever you want to do with it. Okay? Or author declared entry. You can do whatever you want to do. You want to cut the CDs and sell them, that's your own business. Okay? But for public documents, which is state-owned documents do not expire. Assembly press has been established for that purpose, to make them and sell them. Okay? So you really have to be careful about that. I don't want to educate you and say public domain, public documents are public domain. So you hear and you will say, oh, then I can also go and take this art and go and make photocopies and start selling. I don't have that authorization to do. So I must advise you against.
So we have person A and person B, and then they came together as partners to create something, to create a record, let's say a song. And then person A is Lord Kenya. He has finally declared that he doesn't want his royalties from his work anymore. But then person B still wants royalties from the work they did together. Now what happens if now that Lord Kenya says he doesn't want royalties from his work? Can I still go ahead and take, well, I'm representing person B, can I still go ahead and take the royalties, or it affects both of us?
Okay, that's good. It's a very wonderful scenario question. I'm yet to get any law which has been tried in courts on such a scenario. So what I would wish is that if something like that happens, the best place to deal with it is the court. And you know that anytime you also form a contractual agreement with people, there should be exit clauses. And so some of such scenarios must also be written in it, so that if you decide that, okay, I want the work to be under public domain, and the person who you co-authored with does not agree, it means your word cannot survive. It cannot survive, but I do not have the final authorization to say so. It's the court that will determine, because when the law says that even when two people write a book and then one person died, the surviving author has the right to exploit it till he dies. And when he dies, it is his date of death that we're going to use to start calculating the 70 years, you know. So because they equally have that right, it is the court that will decide what happens.
Okay, so another question that is the fact that probably after 70 years, your work now becomes like a public domain, it's not in the public domain.
Yeah.
Okay, so after that 70 years, probably someone took your work or sampled your work within a space of 1 year.
Yeah.
So you can renew it after the 70 years. So
no, you can't renew it. Public once is public domain.
Yes, and then someone picks your work, and then the person can use it to whatever time.
Yeah. So once you pick a public domain work material and then you also make it new, like I remember when we're talking about eligibility of copyrights, there's one aspect we call derivative works. Derivative means your works will not become a new, but it will become built on something which already existed, which is like a public domain material. And that is how it will be. And you will also start to have a new right over that for your lifetime. and 70 years after your death. Okay, but it does not mean that nobody else can also go to the original source, pick it and use it. No, you also you pick it from somewhere which is an expired material, so somebody else can also go and do the same thing, right?
If an author declares that they are letting go of their copyrights and it's public domain, and later they come and be like, oh, I still want my copyright back.
Yeah, that's also interesting. I have also not seen such a scenario. And so I think all of these scenarios are meant for the court to decide, because it will be an interesting thing to declare and then you change your mind. And the reason why the law says that if you want to declare your works under public domain, you need to communicate publicly. So once you communicate publicly and you want to change your mind, I think it's better to go to court to find out what made you change your mind and what made you still changing your mind to go back to what you owe, to what was rightfully yours.
I have a question concerning like music and public domain. You know, one thing I understand is that if I'm an author, I write a book, and I declare my book's copyright public domain, I can still go ahead and distribute my books.
Yeah.
I can print and distribute. Now, when it comes to music, there are some stores that when you distribute, it's like automatically assume you want to earn royalties. Can you distribute your music across all these commercial songs and still say, I don't want any money royalties?
Okay, all right, that's interesting. So far, all the digital stores which have come, there are two versions of digital stores. There's what we call pay before you play, okay? And there are ones that are streaming platform. You don't need any payment. They just stream and then they get money from the streaming. Okay. So once you are going to put your work there, they have terms and conditions you must agree. And if you read the terms and conditions, it is in the terms that economic rights, because they also need to get money. The platform they built, it is money they have used in building the platform. So they will say that we are going to, whatever money accrue from your work, we'll give you, if somebody stream your work for 1 minute, let's say 1 hour, we'll give you 50 Ghana cedis or 50 Naira or $1,000 or whatever. And you have to agree to that term, because if it is that you don't want public domain, so you don't want to agree, then it means you will not be able to put your works on it in the first place. Because they want to make money. And you don't want to make money, but you still want your work to be on that platform. So that is what it actually means. And don't forget that I said that public domains still have royalties, but just that it will not come to you. You have declared public domain, so it will not come to you. It will go to the state and forever.
Yeah, so now what I was thinking is, I'm sure there's a solution to it already, but I was just thinking out loud. For people, songs that, like presently, we are creating a lot of works. So in the next 100 years, most of our present songs will go to public domain.
Yeah.
Now, does it mean that with such a clause, the stores would, like preservation of these new songs that we are doing and the fact that to get into public domain, and it still needs to be online, the issue around that. I'm sure there's a solution, because then an artist can also say, I want my songs to be out there. Even though the contract says we retain, I want it to be out there and I still want it to be public domain.
Okay, right. So the best way to solve this problem is you build that app and then give musicians that option. Come and place your works here. You don't want money from it, and see if that business will survive, because it's all about business. Building, I remember I wanted to build an app. I was told I needed to pay like $15,000 that time. So if I imagine I spend that money to build that app and I want to put it for that purpose, if I have the money I want to do so, I can. This is how time will allow us. And thank you very much. I promise you that I was going to give you the contact detail for Apprise Music. If you want to come and promote your work, if you want to come and publish your music, please, this is the platform, and we are here to publish your music. Please call 0245 024 002. If you want to contact Apprise Music, the number is on the screen. And you can reach us to us wherever you are. +233 245 024 002. You can call this number and we'll be able to deal with it. This is public domain, and this is Bnoskka IP zone. And today I had Phillip and then Sammy. Thank you very much for coming. And please watch this video, share the video, subscribe, and make sure that you learn. If you don't understand any of the terminologies we use, go back to the previous episodes and watch. This is Bnoskka. I am telling you. Thank you.